That's what it's doing. It's very frustrating. Every time that does that, it knocks your cruise control off. Now I reset it. As soon as I reset it, it knocks it right back off. I reset it again, knocks it back off, and then sometimes it'll stay on. This morning it's all right. Here we go, working on the hydraulic control unit. My 2018 Ram 2500. This right here is the original. And I've already had it replaced at the dealer, which cost me over $500. And so this time I've decided, because the same problem has popped up. So this time I have decided I'm doing it myself. This thing's been sitting in a bag. There it goes. Fortunate. What I was doing was looking for a way to rebuild that pump. And I stumbled upon a forum that said the pump is not the problem, it's this motor right here. And more specific. All right, here is the way that one guy said he did it. Look at that. How about that? Blew that right off. Mostly. Now, this is your magnets down inside of here. And I don't see a problem here. One thing I was wondering about is the, according to the post that I was reading, this is a DC motor, so it doesn't matter. This is your where your contacts are. So it shouldn't matter which one's negative or positive, it should spin. All right, here's your brushes. Right there's one. And there's another one. So it looks to me like neither one of those brushes are touching the armature. It's smooth. I don't believe either one of those brushes are touching the armature, which is enough to kill this motor right here. So I'm going to turn the camera off now, and I'm going to check on this, see about how I can get those out. Those holders, brush holders, have got, back off a little bit. a little plastic post holding them in there, and then it's melted down. So when I go to pry those out, it's going to break that little plastic mushroom off that's holding that in there. So here we are back on the hydraulic control unit motor from my 2018 Ram. And I've got one side done already. Not done, but there's two sides of this. And here's the one that's not taken off yet. And I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's, let me try something here. It's not touching. That's supposed to ride on that armature there. And you can see where it has been, but it's not touching right now, and neither was this one. So what I did with this one, this is the side that I've already got off. I took my X-Acto knife and you can't really see what I'm seeing, but down inside of here there's two plastic nubs that stick up, and they go through these two holes right here. And that's what's holding that in there. They go through these two holes. And they have like a waffle pattern on top of them. And so I thought, well, those are just, they slip those down over those two nubs, and then they must heat that plastic up and mushroom it. So what I did was took my X-Acto knife and went around it and flaked off, as much as I could until it was a little smaller than what it was to start with. And then I took my little screwdriver and I got up underneath it and pried it, and eventually it popped off. Here's the little, well, there it went. Here's the little piece that popped off of one of them. You can see that's just like a collar where they heated that little plastic nub up. So what I'm hoping is when I put this back together, either put a dab of super glue or just take my soldering iron and mash down on that and mushroom it out. Once this goes back together, I don't foresee it ever coming back apart another time. Once I get this done, this is the old one that was original equipment on my truck. And I got a new one the first time I had this problem. And I made sure I kept the old one. I told them when I took it in there, I want the old part. So this is the old one. So in theory, if I do get this fixed, all I've got to do is swap it out for the one that's on there now. And in this swap out process, you're not breaking into your fluid system, your brake fluid system at all. So you're just swapping out the motor. So you don't have to bleed the brakes or any of that. So now, what I did, when this came out, it was like this. And, well, I had to take my pliers and grab this by the end and pull it out of there because it was stuck. Well, I started off shaving a little bit like that with my X-Acto knife, and it was looked like it was taking a little bit too much off. So I switched over to my little points file that I got here, and I got it down pretty good, but I put some dielectric grease on it. When I put it back together, I shoved it in there 10 or 11 times. It done real good, and then on like the 12th time it stuck. So I decided I was going to have to take it completely apart. So I pried this little door right here. That's what holds the spring and the brush in this holder. I just pried it up, and that allowed the spring and the brush to come out. I stretched that spring out just a touch. So it's, when I put it back together, it'll be a little bit stronger than what it was. Then I took this file and I took this file, and I knocked the edges off here. Just because it kind of felt like there was, something biting right there. So then this goes back in, and it's got this slot right here. That's for the wire that's connected on this brush. So I'll put some more dielectric grease on it before I'm done. But you can see it slides in and out of there really good now. So now I'm going to try to take this other one off. I did that all off camera just because I just wanted to see if I could do it, and it worked. So now this, I'm just going around this little nub with my X-Acto knife, just trying to knock the shoulder off where it's been melted down. I'm just assuming it has. I really don't know how they make these. I don't know what else would be holding it on there. There doesn't appear to be any glue or anything like that. Now this side that I'm working on now, see, it's over here. It's completely 180 from the other side. Right here is where this goes to. This is your contactor. So this side has got a short wire lead to it. This one here comes from all the way over here, so it's got a longer lead. And so it should be a little easier to mess with once I get it loose and out of there. I should have a little more slack on this side than what I had on the other. Would be a whole lot easier if you could just take this off. But I don't see any way of getting this off. There's like a lock washer type of deal on here holding this bearing on. This bearing, it's got a little bit of play up and down in this housing, but very little, less than a 1/16 probably. So I can't get this off. If I could, I'd slide this whole thing off, and then this would all be exposed, and it would be very easy to work on. Now, I started taking this off. This is like a rubber seal, and I started coming off with it, and I thought, well, there's no reason to take that off. So I put it back on because you can see where I took it off. It's kind of unsealed, but that's just a rubber seal that seals that housing and keeps everything out, and you can see, of course, I don't know how exposed this is to the elements, but there's nothing got inside of here. This is just fine. And so I'll take this other one out, and I'll file on it and get it all cleaned up. And then I'll take me a little piece of Scotch-Brite and try to get up in here and polish these this armature up a little bit where these things ride. This up pretty good when prying up on it. So I took my pliers and mashed it back down flat. And I'll have to do that with this one too. But I'm going to shut the camera off and I'll work on this a little bit now. I got this side. You can see I got under it and got it pried up. This side I could not get under, so I ended up grabbing it with my pliers and yanking up and got it out. Now this you can see is not working. Let that back out. You can see it's spring loaded. It's supposed to be all the way out, and it is not. I found my spring, stretch it out just a little bit like I did the other one. Now, that thing is really wedged in there. So, let me try this. Well, I'll be. That, the back end of that thing just broke off, which I was a little worried about that. I don't know if you can see it or not. Anyway, that's like the back door of that thing, so I'll have to come up with a different idea of some way of closing that. I'll put a piece of tape on it or something. But I've got to get this out. And man, I'm telling you what, it don't want to go one way or the other. I can hold that. There. Moved. So here's what I did on the last one. Let me set that over out of the way so I don't lose it. Feels like it's just a little flared out here on the very end. started on the other one scraping it, and this seemed like it was taking too much off. No idea why it is so tight, but obviously that's the reason these are going bad. And from what I read in the forum, it's 2017 and 2018 are the ones that are bad. And you can get one off of, I think, a 2007 through a 2016. If you can get one at a junkyard, then you can just swap this motor out, or off of a 2007 Chevy Traverse, it said. But I just kept reading more and more, and finally somebody said, well, they fixed their own. And I thought, well, that's what I'm going to try, because there it went. Yeah. Well, it's not all the way out, but. Oh no! I just broke it. I'll be a son of a gun. That thing, I'm here to tell you, it don't want to come out of there. I don't think it's right. There it went. All right. So, I'll take my file and I'll clean that right there up a little bit. Both ends. The other one I could see on the inside, which you can't see on this camera, but I could see on the inside a little mark where that thing had been riding. This one I can't see. But you can see right here I broke the end off of that, but it's still got a good bit. I don't think it's going to hurt anything. I'm going to use it. And what I'm planning on doing is, if I get this one running, I'll swap it out for the one I got in my truck now, and then I'll tear that one down and fix it too. But according to the blog or what have you I was reading on this, everybody that's done this and fixed their problem has fixed their problem. It's not something you have to keep doing over and over. But apparently if you take it to the dealer and have them fix it like I did, well, it's going to keep happening. It did to me. I don't know how long it's been. Year and a half, 2 years maybe. I took it because the anti-lock brake light kept coming on. And when it does that, it dings, ding, 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 and it knocks your cruise control off. And I use my cruise control a lot, so when I get in my truck, I'm normally going somewhere, so. And I've got an hour drive to work back and forth every day, so I use my cruise control. And it's very annoying to not even get a mile down the road and ding, ding, it knocks your cruise control off. Carbon, graphite, whatever, kind of like pencil lead, and it's dirty. You can see my finger getting dirty just from this little bit of filing I'm doing. And I'm not taking much off of there. Starting to clog my file up just a hair. Oh yeah, that did help quite a bit. I lost my spring. I've looked for it for a half hour. I can't find it, so I found one out of a pen. Stretch it out just a little bit so where it's similar to that one. I got to figure out a way of keeping that in there. My glass tape didn't work, so I'm going to try some electrical tape. I finished this. My card ran out on me when I was putting it back together, but I did get it put back together. And I put my little trickle charger on here, and it spun, so I knew it was working. So then I took me a couple wires and put it on my trolling motor battery and hooked it up to here, and that thing just about jumped out of my hand. It really moves when you put that 12 volt to it. I was thinking about it after I did it, and I thought, well, that trickle charger is probably kind of weak. So anyway, here I am, and I'm practicing putting it back in. This is the old one that this came off of. And down the inside of here, there's two pistons, plungers, whatever you want to call them. They're pretty stout. And those have to ride on this right here. That's where those plungers ride. And you can see there's a little bit of a, let me get it back on camera, a little bit of a track there where they've been riding. So there's a trick to getting those open enough to get this back down on it. And so I just tried it off camera, and it worked really well. Oh crap. Hold on just a second. So here's the trick to this. And I thought I'd try it a time or two, and it works so well. And this, so far, is all I have spent on this project. I had to go buy a set of feeler gauges because I've got 2 or 3 sets, but they're all at work. So, and I've seen people tape these down. I seen one guy slather it with grease. But put that back in there. Pull those out. There it went. And now you got to get those out. So there's one. There's two. And that's sealed. And that rubber seal on that holds this, it seals this outer cup to the base. Well, it's a little proud of the surface there, so right there. This right here. See, it seals right here. So I was just practicing with this right here. The next step is take the old one off of the truck and put this one on it. And I haven't even looked at it yet. They say take your inner fender well out on the front driver side, and your tire. One guy said he did it without taking the tire off. I looked down through the engine bay and I didn't see it, so I still have to find that. But that's my next step. But I've drove my truck twice in the last couple of days since I fixed this, and my anti-lock brake light has not come on. So what I want to do is, and I've just been to town 5 minutes away, you know. I haven't took it anywhere like long distance. But I'm going to take my camera with me when I go back to work Friday, and I'll get some video of this, what's going on. The anti-lock brake light is coming on, and it flashes and it dings and it knocks your cruise control off. The brakes work fine, but it's something in that motor. The motor wasn't working at all, so now it's working really well. I'll take my old one off. I'll go through and fix it. I've got a couple different ideas that I might do on it when I go to fix it to hold that spring in there. Right now, that spring is just held in there by the body right here, this cap. That spring is just held in there because it sits right up against it anyway. So that's all that's holding that spring in there. If I was doing this for somebody else, I'd probably do a little bit better job, but I just wanted to see if it was going to work, and it did. So next step will be to take the old one off, put this one on. Hopefully that fixes our problem. And once again, I'll be leaving this part. This is the hydraulic control unit. This is just the motor. And so I'll be leaving this part on. And that way, I don't have to. Let's see, right here. This is all brake fittings. And so you would have to take those out, put them over into this one. And there's nothing wrong with this pump itself. It's just a motor. So somehow that hooks up. When that motor goes down through here, this is where that end right there sticks out. So it must have, I don't know if it's if you'll be able to even see that or not. I'll figure that out when I get to it. But I've not even looked for it yet, but I will. And when I do, I'll be back to finish this video. Alright, here we are, back on the truck. Nice day here in March, so it's time to swap away from my winter tires. I'll put my summer tires on, and also taking this inner fender well out. If I can figure out how to do that to get to the anti-lock brake pump. Then I'll put my... Alright, I got the fender flare off. I got my inner fender almost out. I bent it down a little bit, and I discovered what I was looking for right here on top of this shock tower. So took out two of these plastic insert anchors, but there's one on the back side back here I'm gonna have to get from the inside of the engine bay. So I went and got my ladder, and I'll get it now. See my ratchet right there. Put a 6-inch extension on it, and it just barely fits back in there. That first bolt is right in behind those tubing, that tubing right there, and I had to kind of push it and pull it towards me and bend that tubing enough to get the socket back in there, and that's an E8 socket. There's another bolt directly opposite of that one, which should be a lot easier to get to. Alright, here's the one that I've rebuilt. I went ahead and put some grease on the end of it. It fits back in that hole. And then here's the one that I just took out. And so I'm not sure if that's a part number on it right there. Here's FedEx race truck. And this number here is different than this number. They're the same motor. Of course, this one here is from the original 2018, and this one's probably from 2020 maybe. I'll rebuild this one. This one I'm going to try to put in right now. I got to figure out a way of getting these feeler gauges held on there. I got some electrical tape. It's probably what I'm going to end up. I think I can hold the top one with one finger while I push this in, but that thing's setting vertical, so it's going to be a lot harder than it was inside on the vise. But I can't get my camera in there, so I'll let you know how it goes. See if I can. Can't really see it. This is it right here. I went ahead and put this cover back on. I've lost one of my feeler gauges. I had did I have a 9 and a 10? Yeah, daggone wasper. I had a 9 and a 10. I had 3 unsuccessful attempts with those. So I went in and got my next two down, 7 and an 8. And tried those. I taped them on, got it the first try with those, but I lost my 8. I know I got it out, but it's been misplaced somewhere and I can't find it. But I did double check. It's not up in there, so now I put my fender skirt back on, my whatchamacallit, my inner fender, then my fender flare, and then I'm swapping over to my summer tires. But then I'll alright, here we are, about I'd say 300 miles since my repair, and the analog brake light has not came on, the bell has not dinged. I've been using my cruise control. Everything seems to be working fine. I'm going to call that fixed. Save myself $500. Thanks for watching.